If you were anything like me as a kid, you would have gotten home from school, loaded up Garry's Mod on an old Windows 7 or 8 computer, opened up the Steam Workshop, and spent hours downloading every new map that caught your eye. Today, we're going on a journey through Garry's Mod maps that might have slipped through the cracks of time. Some of these maps still have their dedicated players, while others have been left to gather digital dust. These aren't your typical server staples. These are the maps that you download for solo adventures or quiet explorations with friends. Whether you've moved on from Garry's Mod or you're still actively playing, I hope to bring back memories and maybe even introduce you to maps you've missed. Our first stop, Garry's Mall. Garry's Mall came out in 2013 and is a collaborative effort featuring 12 different shops all made by different mappers. As soon as you walk in, you're greeted with a very warm lobby. There's a waiting area with signs on your left and right, and further into the lobby you have this beautiful hot air balloon and plane suspended from the ceiling. Further into the lobby there is this pond. I absolutely love this pond. There are two shops here. The first shop is the Starbucks Cafe, mapped by Kokoro. What's crazy is the fact that this feels like a real Starbucks. I don't know if that's saying something about Starbucks being outdated, or maybe the mapper's rendition is really good, but I'm pretty sure I was here last week. Also, I love this custom coffee beanbag bottle. It's cozy, but it's kinda huge for a mall. I've been in standalone Starbucks that were smaller than this. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard and nice looking Starbucks. I think I'm just a sucker for real places recreated virtually. Then the other shop in the lobby is the Eastern Block Store by mapper Eddie LTU. This one seems like a small business, one of those mom and pop cafes that's doing anything to survive. The specials menu has some interesting choices, and unfortunately I had to blur out one of them for not being nice. It's also a bit weird because they have hipster stuff on their menu, which I can only assume is coffee. Meanwhile, the store's wallpaper is just coffee beans. I'm a little bit lost here, Eddie. Are you beefing with coffee, or do you like it? The ambiance is a little rough, and they only have one pop machine at the bar. On the bright side, the menu at this location is awesome. Some highlights of the menu are Mountain Dew Halo Players Exclusive, which requires you to have an Xbox Live membership, while also selling diesel, and they sell a Rust beta key for $20, which seems like a steal in today's market considering Rust is $40 right now. We're going to be leaving the lobby and heading to our first proper mall store, which is Uncle Garry's Store by mapper Skern. This is a pretty basic pretzel shop. They serve pretzels and drinks, all you need to be a pretzel shop. I think I would probably get the synonym sugar for $2.49. What a steal. There's a back room with what seems to be two pretzels getting freaky, and a freezer. Nice work, Skern. I would buy a pretzel from here. Our next shop is the House of Ratings Store by The One Freeman. The House of Ratings is a quirky little shop featuring 3D versions of the iconic Silk icons, which are seen all over Gmod's user interface. These little icons are on the shelves like purchasable items, and honestly seeing them in 3D is kinda awesome. They're giving me plushie vibes, like can we please get Garry's Mod plushies? Somebody at Face Punch make that happen. The shop is also plastered with the Face Punch logo, leaning heavily into the old school Face Punch aesthetic. Overall, it's a fun little space that reminds us of the icons seen all over the game's UI. Next up is the Black Factory by Steam. Officially titled Black Factory Surplus Production and Waste Outlet. It leans into everything weird and unsettling about the Source engine. Right as you walk in, you're greeted by a terrifying cutout of shadowy figures and a sign that says, "Lose your humanity horribly, become a test subject today." That alone sets the tone for the place. Dark, dystopian, and a little hilarious. To your left, there appears to be a freezer section, except instead of frozen peas or ice cream, we've got things like raw plutonium, frozen roadkill, and my personal favorite, pseudo peas, which are almost frozen. Oh, and don't miss the illegally caught whole crabs. It's a grocery store straight out of your worst nightmare. The checkout counter is covered in barbed wire fencing, and behind it, there might be someone roasting or sleeping back there. Maybe this is their Airbnb. Either way, it's both fascinating and terrifying. It's dark, depressing, and quintessentially Half-Life, with just enough absurdity to keep you grinning. Out of all the mall shops, this one might be the most memorable for its sheer commitment to being unsettling. Next up, we have the Katru Store by TRLE Chippers. It bills itself as the best new age shop on our dying planet. On the window banner, you're greeted with slogans that lean into the absurd. One promotes 20% off strange crystals that promise either profound hallucinations or a giggle fit on the shop floor. The other advertises a 2-for-1 deal on autobiographies by Yogi and Siddhartha. Inside, the store's dedication to its hippie aesthetic is on full display. There are bins of those strange crystals they were talking about, the new age food, and other cosmic oddities. A vegetarian energy drink vending machine adds a modern touch, and a sign at the register warns that meditation sessions in the back interfere with electronic payments. Whether this is satire or sincere devotion, it's impossible not to smile at the thought of someone lovingly crafting this vibe. The store's walls are adorned with New Age books, records, and what appears to be a thank you note to John Anderson. If you know who this is, please comment down below because I am very lost. This store was definitely cool, it has the aura, but I felt a little bit out of my element here. So that will complete all the shops on floor 1, and now we're going to move on to floor 2. The next shop is Clip's Classic Cut Store by Nomad. Clip's Classic Cut is your standard mall hair salon, but something about it feels off. The layout is pretty basic, 2 barber chairs, a small waiting area, and a cash register with a strange notice. The walls are decorated with 2 pictures that are just vague enough to be unsettling. I couldn't really tell you what they're supposed to be, and maybe that's the point. Then there's the back room, which is where things get a little weird. Instead of a typical break area for employees, it looks more like it should be in an office. Then in the other room, there's a washer and dryer. Why is there a washer and a dryer in a hair salon? Is it for the towels? Is it some kind of shared mall laundry setup? Either way, it's confusing, but it definitely adds to the eerie vibe. It feels like a government-owned salon. I don't know if I would get my hair cut here. Right behind the salon is our next shop, Crescent Hobby Store by Colin Stead. This store is a delightful homage to the classic hobby shop. Established in 1987, according to the signage outside, this shop nails the nostalgic vibe with incredible attention to detail. Every inch of the store feels authentic, from the shelves lined with models, paints, and trinkets, to the little train running along the tracks. They even have a little dinosaur riding inside. The store captures the organized chaos of a true hobby shop. There's a seating area behind the checkout desk with a plaque on the wall that thanks contributors to the map, and even the computer on the desk with the train parts scattered to give the impression that someone was mid-project, adding to the realism. The carefully chosen models really bring this shop to life. It's a standout in the mall, and it's a clear labor of love. Definitely a place to get lost in the details for a while. Easily one of the coolest shops in the mall. Right beside the hobby shop is the Verizon Mobile Store by Blinksys. This store has a dated charm that feels straight out of the early 2010s. Checkered floors and outdated phone models, like an iPhone 5 with a home button, and an ad for the HTC Droid. There's even a NASCAR Sprint Cup ad, which feels misplaced for a Verizon store. Inside, the layout is sparse, with a handful of phones displayed under the Verizon Wireless logo. There's also a branded red PC case, which adds to the unique but slightly confusing touch. Who uses a full tower PC at a phone store? The shop feels like a relic stuck in time, lacking the detail and personality like other shops. Our next shop is the Troubled Times Store by Sims Boy. This is a music shop with a classic vibe that feels authentic and lived in. The store features guitars on display, shelves stocked with records and CDs, and a striking red brick interior that gives it a grungy, timeless feel. On the shelves, you'll find hip-hop classics like the Beastie Boys, Dr. Dre, Slick Rick, and J Dilla's Donuts. A nice touch for music lovers. There's also a mention of the Midnight Riders and Screaming Oak, which seem to be a fictional band. I'm not familiar. The turntable at the checkout counter and the scattered speakers throughout further enhance the atmosphere. While the store captures the feel of a local music shop, it's missing a major element, a big, prominent row of records. This would have driven home the theme of a music lover's paradise. Still, the detail and care put into the shop shines through. Next up, we have the Cereal Smooth Store by Jelly Kinder. This shop is a quirky concept, a cereal shop disguised as a cozy cafe. The interior boasts luxurious touches like leather seating, a gramophone, and a fireplace, juxtaposed with the walls lined with cereal boxes. It's an odd but charming blend of hominess and surrealism. The atmosphere is amplified by a mysterious soundtrack and a slightly eerie Link statue, which stares at you as you enjoy your meal. The back wall displays a variety of cereal options, including classics like Fruity Pebbles. However, the seating area suggests the shop only had 2 customers, evidenced by 2 bowls of cornflakes. A fun hidden detail is the credit card at the register. There's an Aperture Labs icon and a humorous warning about its ability to open a rift in space-time. It's touches like these that make the shop feel playful and unique. Someone needs to make this place real because I'd be first in line to visit. Last but not least is the Krispy Kreme Store by Starman Super. And to put it bluntly, the shop feels basic. It's capturing the essentials of what the chain is, but not much more. While the oversized donuts and trash tables give it a quirky realism, it lacks the charm to really stand out. It's a functional addition to the mall, but not one I'd linger in for long. If you've never been to a Krispy Kreme, this one might not fully suffice. Garrys Mall is a great example of mappers coming together to show off their creativity. Each shop feels unique, and together they make up a map that is something special. If you've never explored this map, it's definitely worth a download. House with Garden 2 by Orfkip. As soon as you spawn in, you're greeted by a cramped room that feels like a combination of a storage unit and someone's bedroom. There's a bike awkwardly shoved in, and the lighting is, let's call it moody. Honestly, the busted lighting might actually work in the map's favor. It adds to a certain charm. Leaving this room, we seem to be in the attic, with boxes littered around. There's also another bedroom on this floor with the same cramped feeling, but this one includes a bird cage. Everything feels tight and boxy, like this mattress, which is literally just a square. It's a perfect example of early mapping, functional but definitely rough around the edges. Heading downstairs, we're greeted by 3 doors. One leads to a bathroom, complete with a bucket under the sink, probably catching a leak. Early source maps often have these quirky, unintended details that just feel oddly personal. The next door leads to a cozy bedroom with another bird cage and windows to let in natural light. And then opening the last door, you're greeted with yet another door. Inside of that door, there's a master bedroom with another bird cage, but this time it's without the birds. Maybe they escaped? This map has an obsession with doors, and with how crammed everything is, absolutely no door is fully open. Leaving that room and heading down another set of stairs, the living room and kitchen areas are surprisingly interactive. The fridge, microwave, and even the cupboards open up all the way, which is wild considering how simple the rest of the map feels. And let's not forget the dining area, featuring a 4th bird cage and 2 very judgmental birds. Towards the front of the house, we can see the entrance and a wet room. This is where we can really see the lighting issues, and I love it. I'm a sucker for the horrible lighting. Heading out back, things get a bit grim. The lighting here is particularly harsh. The floor is like a fluorescent light bulb, and the shrubs are both glowing and Vanta black. The outdoor furniture is hilariously basic. The table and chairs both share the same texture. There's a bike shed, weird props scattered all around, a real shed that is super tall, and a little grate for what seems to be washing your shoes. An oddly specific and a cute touch. Overall, the map feels like someone's early attempt at mapping, filled with endearing quirks and a lot of effort. While not polished, it captures the creative spirit of the early Steam Workshop submissions. On to the next map. This next map is a map and a game mode. It's Sled Build. Sled Build is one of those pure, simple concepts that could only exist in Garry's Mod's golden age. Created by G3X, it's exactly what it says on the box. You build sleds and you race them down an icy track. The map itself is simple but perfect for what it needs to be. You've got this massive spawn area under a covered barn where everyone builds their sled. And when I say everyone, I mean a whole 15 people, because that's all the servers could handle. All creating their own weird contraptions at once. Props flying everywhere, people learning how the weld tool works or doesn't work. The track itself is this beautiful mess. You start at this small ice patch behind these ominous yellow and black danger bars. When the round starts, the giant glass door disappears and everyone's creation, good or catastrophic, slide down into what can only be described as a winter wonderland obstacle course. You've got these massive dips that send you flying, a half pipe that tests if your sled building skills are really up to snuff, and these really cool spectator domes scattered throughout the track. Though I'll be honest, when I first played, I actually never saw anyone use them. The beauty of Sled Build wasn't its complexity, it was in its simplicity.
There's 20 seconds left, who wants to sled with me?
There were no tutorials, no optimization teams, no monetization strategies, just a bunch of people trying to figure out how to build the ultimate sled through trial and error.
Oh my god, you're gonna have such a fun time. I'm
gonna make the world's best sled.
Sled Build might not have the staying power of game modes like Battle Royale or Bunny Hop, but for those of us who were there, building questionable sleds on questionable physics engines, it was our Battle Royale. It was our big thing. And while its time might have passed, I'm glad we can still revisit these digital slopes, even if it's just for old time's sake.